Hey guys, this is Gloria. Welcome to my last video for the Silhouette Cricut collaboration with Poetspice. This has been an awesome series, and I hope that you guys were inspired to pull out your cameos or your Cricuts and just play around and figure out all the buttons and all the things that your machine can do. This last video, what I'm going to share with you guys is how I use my Cameo, kind of like Photoshop or something like that, where I'm just going to bring in a bunch of images, manipulate the images in order to use them on a project that I want to use them on. The reason why I'm doing it this way instead of doing a print and cut is because I want to print this on fabric, and I noticed that my machine does not read the registration marks for fabric, and so it's kind of hard to print on your fabric and then allow the machine to read the registration marks. I'm not sure if I could use maybe a permanent marker to make the marks a little bit darker, but whatever the case, I just, cut my images out by hand, and they were very simple images, so I was able to do my project. But let me share with you guys this little mini tutorial on what I do to use the Silhouette Designer Edition as kind of a design software just to design some images for me to cut out by hand, or to print out with my home printer and then cut out by hand to use on my projects. So what you're looking at right now is my mat, and it's a 12 by 12 mat, but because I have a regular printer, I have to make my page settings 8.5 by 11. Then I'm just going to go right over here, and I'm going to show my library, and I'm going to pull up, since it's on Pocket, I'm just going to go ahead and take that image, and this is the image that I use, so I'm just going to double click on that. And once I double clicked on this, the only thing that I need from here is this pocket. So what I'm going to do is just click on the image, and then I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to go Ungroup, and then I'm going to click out of the image and take this pocket off of this. And then I'm just going to draw a boundary box around everything, and I'm going to delete it, because this is all I need for my project is this pocket. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go and find me some gingerbread people, because I wanted to put a few gingerbread people on my project. And what I thought about doing, I don't know why my program is acting up now, but let's see. Come on. Sometimes it gets a little finicky. I was playing with it earlier and it might be tired, but what I'm going to type in is gingerbread or ginger. That's okay. And the one that I used was this one right here. So I'm going to just double click on that and then bring her onto my mat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Object and ungroup her. And once I ungroup her, I can start stacking the pieces on top of each other. Because this is going to be a print and cut and not just a regular cut, I'm just going to stack the pieces on top the way that they would look. And just make sure that I get everything lined up the way it should be lined up. Before I put this bow on there, what I did was I actually changed the color of the bow, and I'm just go right up here to the fill window or either to the pattern window. In this case, I'm going to go to the pattern window, and I'm just going to change the color of that bow because I wanted her to look very Christmassy. So I used a very Christmassy type of pattern, which it just changed there, and I'll zoom in so that you guys can see it a little bit better. And as you can see, her little bow, I'll zoom in one more time. Her bow is all plaid now. And then I just took this part of her bow and layered it right on top where it needs to go. And then you can group those things together. And then put that on her head where it's supposed to go. And all I'm doing is just lining it up right on top, just like a puzzle, like I said last time. Now for these parts, which are her cheeks and her mouth, I'm going to go ahead and Object group those together. That way they won't move, and I don't have to kind of try to fidget with trying to figure out where they go. And then I just put those where they go. And then these are going to move together, so that's great, and all I have to do is just kind of line them up right in the middle, and we're all set. So now what I need to do is just group all of these pieces together. I just go up top, Object, Group, And then I'm going to go to my cut window or my cut settings, which is right here. And once I click on that, what I'm going to tell the machine is that I want this to cut the edge. Now, honestly, I don't have to cut the edge because I'm not going to use my machine to cut this. But if you were using your machine to cut this, you would want to put cut edge so that it wouldn't cut all of these intricate pieces in the inside. Now I'm going to click off of that, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to find my other gingerbread person, which I wanted to use this little guy right here. So I'll pretty much do the same thing. I'll take him and object, ungroup him, click off of the image, and then just stack all his pieces on top the same way I did the girl. I'll move the girl out the way so we won't get confused. And then all his pieces move together, which is great. And all I have to do is just line those up. And then these are his little buttons, and they go right there. And then another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me just ungroup that again. And I'm going to take these parts because I don't need these parts. I'm just going to go ahead and delete them, and I'm going to keep that part. So now all I have to do is just group all of this together, object and group, and now it moves as one piece. So I have both my people, and I want to make her a little bit bigger so that she's kind of the same size as this guy over here. Okay, so that's good. So that's what I want. Okay, so now let's go back to the pocket, and I'm going to scroll down just a little bit and remember our pocket that we got from the other design. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make that pocket more festive. So let's click on another Christmassy type of design and fill that image with a Christmas design. And so that's okay. And so another image that I pulled in was part of another image, which is this gingerbread guy right here. And let me just scroll out because he came in super big. But what I want to do is I want to object and ungroup this. I don't need all of this other stuff. So I'm just going to draw a box around all of that stuff and just delete it. Delete that. And I need to ungroup this part. So I'll go ungroup, and I will delete this part and this part. So all I'm going to keep is just the little speech bubble because I like what it said. It says, "You're a monster." I like that. So then I'm just going to layer it on top the way it needs to be. And then I'm just going to group all of that stuff together. Object and group. And then that way I could use this speech bubble for this guy right here. Okay. So after this, oh, I also brought in a snowflake. So I just go back over to my library. I don't know why my library is acting up, but go back over here and put in snowflake. And so I actually used the snowflake from this sweater. So I'm just going to double click on that. And that's the great thing about the Silhouette Cameo. Although this is supposed to be an ugly sweater right here that you can actually print and cut, you can actually take parts from here to use on other projects. So I'm just going to ungroup that, and I'm going to bring this snowflake over, and I'm going to change the color of that snowflake by putting in a little festive color inside of there. And then I'm going to make it a little bit larger so that it'll fit on top of my pocket, and put it right in the middle of my little pocket there. Although on my project, I actually covered up this pocket. I covered up the snowflake in the pocket, but I wanted to share with you guys what I actually did. And then I just grouped those together. And then again, I put a no cut on that snowflake, because otherwise, if you were to cut this out, then that snowflake will cut too. I'm sorry, I didn't put a no cut, I put cut edge, which means it's not going to cut the snowflake, it's just going to cut the outer side. So now that that is done, I can close my cut setting window. And I believe that's about it. I think that's all. Oh, you know what? I used some buttons. So let me go back to my design store and find some buttons to use. Come on, come on. I don't know. It's just acting crazy, guys. So bear with me. And I just typed in button. And this is the button that I use. I'm just going to double click on that. And so now I have my little button here. And so what I did with the button is I made 3 different buttons. So all I'm going to do is while it's selected, I'm going to hit Command and the arrow button. And that way I'm going to copy this button 3 times. Okay, so now what I did was I took the button and I went Object and ungrouped that button. Let's try it again. Ungroup. Okay, there we go. And so what I did was I changed the button to different colors. So same thing that I did with the other designs, but I wanted the buttons to be more festive. Oh no, actually that part was like a black and white polka dot, like that, or maybe it was a smaller polka dot. See. I don't see my smaller black polka dot, but it was a smaller black polka dot. But just for the sake of the video, I'll show you guys this. All I'm doing is just putting in colors. That's all. Now, I want to make the larger part of the button. Just give it some color too. And I just did the same thing with each button. And so you notice that the inside of the button where the 4 holes are, they're covered up as well. On the project that I did not cover up those buttons. But for my project, it really doesn't make a difference because I threaded floss through those buttons, and then I also covered the button with a rhinestone, which you'll see in a minute. But if you wanted to not have the colors on, within the inside, all you have to do is, here, I'll go back. All you have to do is make sure that your entire button is ungrouped. Let me just, I told you guys I'm having a little bit of a problem with this stuff tonight, but we want to make sure, well, it is all ungrouped. And so each one of these, we can make these white on the inside. This way, it won't take on the color of the button. And then we'll make, I'm just trying to figure out what part of the button is it grabbing. We'll make the regular part of the button, we're going to turn that to the plaid color. So there you go, and that's how the button looks. And you just do that with all 3 of the buttons. Once you get that going, if you want to do this on printable vinyl, of course you will put your registration marks on here, and you allow your machine to cut it out. But because I used some material, I didn't use registration marks. I just lined up all of my images, printed it out on my printer, and then I cut them out by hand, which they were very easy. And what I did was I actually, well, first I made a duplicate of the pocket because I wanted them to kind of be in pockets. And I took this girl and put her down inside the pocket, and then I grouped these 2 images together, object and group. And then that way that one moves as one. And then I took him, and he wasn't inside the pocket, he was kind of outside the pocket, so I kind of left him outside the pocket. And then I just then I just grouped all of my my buttons back together, made sure that they were grouped together, and I just lined them up on the fabric as well. And you just line them up where you think that they need to be so that you can cut all of your images at the same time. And then I cut them all out, and then I put them on my project. So I will be right back to share with you guys what that project looks like. So again, guys, I hope that you guys were inspired to pull out your machines and use them and push them to the limit and figure out all of the little buttons and what you can and can't do. And remember, every single project is not always going to come out exactly the way you envision it. Some of them are epic fails. I had an epic fail today where I used a different type of like printable type of vinyl stuff, and it was horrible, and I messed up a shirt trying to do what I wanted to show you guys. So which means I had to go back and rework the project, and I created the bag that I'm going to share with you guys in a minute. So stay tuned. I'm going to share with you guys the bag, and if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll get back with you as soon as I possibly can. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey guys, this is Gloria. So I am back to share with you guys my little ugly bag that I created. Like I said before, I was trying to make an ugly sweater, but it was an epic fail because the material that I used for that shirt was not very good at all, and like the iron burned the stuff, and it was just crazy. But it's okay, I'm gonna try it again, and I'll probably use the same fabric type material that I used on the bag. But let me share with you guys what the bag looks like. This is one of those bags that you can actually pick up from Michael's. I picked this up probably a year or two ago, and I had it still in my stash. This is a bow from not bow, but a ribbon from Michael's, and I just tied it in a bow. It is the one with the wire on it, which I really like because it kind of sits up real pretty like a bow should. And then I put some little jingle bells on there using some twine that came from Target, and these are also some jingle bells from Target. These are the little buttons, and everything was hand cut, and then I just ironed it down and it stuck down to my fabric. But then I went back with some red floss and I put it through the buttonholes, and then I put blings on top of the little buttons. Then at the bottom here is my little people, and I just fussy cut these out, and I used one of my little rosettes with a bow on the top, and a little bit of what is this, greenery from Michael's, and a little red piece that I had as well in my stash. And I just hot glued some rhinestones on top of her little she has on a dress, but she's stuck down in the pocket, so you really don't see the dress, but I stuck some little rhinestones there. And I also did a French bow, or a French knot, on her bow up top, but then I covered it up with a rhinestone. So, but I thought it was really cute. And then on this side where the little guy is, I put the "You Are a Monster" up above, so that like he's saying that here's this little broken foot. He didn't quite make it inside of the pocket. And here's his little pocket here. I used some burlap, and I used some ribbon out of my stash that came from Michael's this year. And then this is a Sizzix die. I think it's called Presents or something like that. If you guys are interested, I'll leave the information down below for that. It's an older die, but it cuts out a little present, and also cuts out this bow. So I made a little gift on this side and put it on the pocket. And again, this is supposed to be an ugly bag, kind of resembles the ugly sweaters, and so it wasn't supposed to be super cute, but I think that it did come out really, really cute. And I plan to use this for the rest of the month to take my lunch and stuff back and forth to work. And I just think it came out really cute. I also did use some floss. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I did some floss where I did just a running stitch around the side of the pocket, even though it's glued down. I just thought that it would make a nice little touch to it. So that is about it, guys. That is how I created my little ugly bag, similar to the ugly sweaters that you guys can buy out of the store. And I do plan on making the ugly sweaters as soon as I can print out all the images again and cut them out and stuff like that. So that's about it, guys. So again, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll get back with you as soon as I possibly can. Take care, guys. Bye.